today's video is going to be on the new Natasha Denona mini gold palette. I just did a video with her new Metropolis palette. I will link down in the corner if you want to check that out. Basically, I was able to get my hands on this at Sephora because they did a pre-launch. This is going to launch online on September 17th and is going to retail for $25. So what we are going to be doing today is we're going to be swatching this, we're going to be trying this out, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts about it. That's pretty much going to be it. So I'm excited though because I was so impressed by the other Natasha Denona palette that I just reviewed that I hope that this is going to be the same formula. So here is what the palette looks like. It's really, really cute. I really like the little ones that she comes out with. I think it's a great way for people who don't want to spend that much money on an eyeshadow palette but still wants to try her formula to be able to, you know, dip their feet into the brand and see what it's all about. So we're gonna go ahead and swatch this palette. It's so small. Like, this thing is tiny. Like, the shadows are the size of my finger and I have really small fingers. So let's just go ahead and do some quick swatches with this and then we're gonna test this out. I have a look in mind that I want to do, so I'm really excited because I think it's going to end up looking really cool. So let's go ahead and swatch this. So I think this palette swatched really, really well. I did build up a couple of these shadows, not because they needed to be built up, but just because I wanted to see how intense they would look. This is a really beautiful kind of lime green brown duochrome. I don't even know how I would explain this, but it's really, really pretty. This gold is beautiful as well. This one can probably be used more as a matte. It seemed a little bit satiny and more like a cream matte. I'm not really sure how I would explain this, but it's definitely not like a shimmer, if you know what I mean. So I don't know if any of these shades are in the original gold palette because I don't own that, so I can't compare. But from what I've heard, I'm pretty sure that these are all new shades, but I could be mistaken. Maybe one of them are from the gold palette, but I think these are all new shades, which is exciting because it means that the people who already own the gold palette, you know, might want to get this one as well. So I'm going to start by priming my eyes with my Smashbox lid primer in light, and I do have a little bit of staining on my eyes because of the palette that I used yesterday. But that's okay, we're going to cover this up and then we're going to get into trying out these shadows. Like I said, I do have a look in mind and I think I know exactly what I want to do, which is super rare with me because I feel like I always go into these videos with no plan whatsoever. But when I looked at this palette, I was like, I know what I want to do. So that's what we're going to do. So for the sake of this video, I am going to use this as my transition shade. If you're new to my channel, I don't really ever use transition shades, so it's not a step that I normally do, but you know, since there's only 5 shadows in this palette, I feel like I might as well test them all out. So I'm just going to quickly fluff this into my crease now. And this is actually showing up darker on my skin than I thought it would. So it's definitely like the perfect transition shade if you are looking for something to just put down in your crease before you go in with some kind of a color or some kind of a deeper shadow. I just find that personally, like, transition shades like this kind of mutes down the looks, and I tend to prefer looks that are more bright and more vibrant, and I just think that putting down a transition shade just kind of makes them a little bit more dull, even though it does make them easier to blend, but it's not really, you know, what I normally go for. But I would say this is definitely a really, really good transition shade. I mean, that lay down super easily. Next up, I'm going to dip into the other matte that's in this palette. So basically these are the only 2 mattes. This is more of a satin, but you could probably use it as a matte. I'm not going to do it for today's look just because of the plan that I have for this look. It won't really make any sense, but I'm going to use this green to just deepen up my crease with, and I might even put this high enough up that I'm going to cover up all of my transition shade, but it's fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and really start buffing this into my crease now. And I'm going to build this up and see how buildable the shadow really is, because I want this to be as dark as I can possibly get this, since it is the only shadow that I am going to have in my crease as my deepening shade here. And I really like the tone of this green. I love that this is like a dirty olivey green. I think that is such a fun shadow. I'm also going to go ahead and pull this down underneath my eye and really smoke this out underneath my lower lash line. And I'm also keeping the shape of this very round because you will see in a bit when I go in and do my next step, because I'm going to do a big wing, which is very much like a hooded eye kind of wing. So I kind of need the shadow to be focused enough that I can bring my wing past the shadow, because I just find that to be a bit more of a flattering look on my eye shape. And this shadow is building so nicely. It's super nice and creamy. It's not like the most pigmented right off the bat, but like I said, it builds so well and it's really, really easy to work with. Gonna switch to a flat smudging brush here and just really smoke this out underneath my eye. I'm gonna go pretty heavy-handed with this because I do want this to be pretty smoked out. And also my concealer is creasing, so I want to cover that up. Okay, so now that I have like the foundation of my mattes down, I'm gonna go in and do my wing. So I'm gonna use my DHC Cosmetics liquid liner. This is my favorite liner. I really love this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to explain it before I do it, and then I'll just show instead of trying to explain while I'm doing stuff, because I'm probably going to be out of focus because my mirror will literally be in my face because I need to see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna take this liner and I'm going to wing this out. If you can see here, I do have very hooded eyes when my eyes are open. So I'm going to basically trace with my eyes open a triangle up from my lower lash line here and then connect it basically to the top of the hood of my lid, and then I'm going to fill it in with my liner. And once I've done that, I'll go in with the shimmer shadows afterwards and kind of just make a gradient on my lid and connect the shadows to the outer part of my wing. I know that sounds very confusing, but I think you'll see, you know, what I mean while I'm doing it. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you know exactly what I'm about to do. So I'm just gonna put on some music and I'll do this and I'll let you watch, and then I'll come back when I'm ready with the shadows. Alright, so they're not completely even, and I kind of messed up this side a little bit, but it's fine. Maybe I'll try to fix it after. I probably won't, because I don't really care if things are perfect. That's just the way it goes sometimes. So I'm gonna first go into the darkest of these shades here. I'm gonna first try this dry and see how that performs. I might have to wet it. I just don't really know what I'm expecting out of the shadow. So it is picking up really nicely on my brush. I'm actually gonna try to just kind of put this on my hand to see what happens. So it looks like I'm probably gonna have to spray this, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that because it's not super pigmented when you don't. So I'm just gonna take some of my Fix Plus here, and I'm basically going to put that on the outer part of my lid here. Now, a lot of the time I will do a cut crease when I do this technique, but I really feel like these shadows are going to be opaque enough that I really don't need to do a cut crease. So I'm basically just going to connect this to my wing here, and I'm also going to bring a little bit of this color just like up into my wing, just to make sure that everything is looking nice and seamless here. And I'm gonna bring this into my lid about, I would say about a third of the way or so. I just wanna make sure that everything is blending into that wing here so that it's making a bit of a seamless transition into my crease. And I definitely think you could use this shadow as a matte and use that to deepen up the other matte if you wanted, just to get more depth. But I feel like this is doing exactly what I needed to do. So I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this gold shade here and I'm going to spray this because I do want this to be really nice and intense. And I'm going to kind of try to fake a bit of a cut crease, so I'm going to make sure that the application here is pretty precise, and this shadow is so opaque and so beautiful. Oh my goodness, that's so pretty. Ooh, I love that. So I'm basically just going to fill in the rest of my lid here where I don't have any shadow, and I'm just going to meet it up with, you know, where the first part of my kind of wing and the crease begins. I know this is extremely confusing and I'm confusing myself just trying to explain this. I will say that this shadow is very, very glittery, so I feel like maybe using a glitter glue would be a good idea with this, because I can imagine myself, you know, getting some fallout and stuff during the day with this shadow, just because I get that a lot with shadows like this that are very glittery, but it's absolutely stunning. Oh, that's so pretty. Like, I feel like this palette is worth it just for this shade because that is extraordinary. I don't know if I have a gold like that in my collection. That is so pretty, and I love that it has a bit of a green undertone to it. Oh, that is everything. I'm gonna take a little bit of this and just kind of wrap it around my lower lash line here. And just to complete this, I'm going to dip into the last shade that we have yet to use here. I wonder if there are names on these. Yeah, there are names on the back. If there aren't names right in front of me, I'm probably not going to mention them. So I'm going to take this shadow and I am going to go ahead and spray this one as well. This one is also not as like intense and foiled as the one that I just put down, and I feel like this could probably almost be used as a matte if you wanted to. So I'm just going to put that right in the middle here to kind of tie everything together and make sure that this blend is looking nice. So I'm just going to take a bit more of that darkest shade now, just to make sure I bring this back a bit, because I do want the outer part of my lid to be quite dark. And I really like how just everything is just blending together so beautifully. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it with the shadows. I mean, I've used all of them. I thought they all performed really nicely. I'm going to finish up my eyes though. I think I want to put something... I want to do something different in my waterline, but I'm not sure what I want to do. Could doing something blue be fun? Would that be a little bit much? Maybe a little bit. Maybe if I do something purple? Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll pop this in my waterline. I think this is Boots from ColourPop. No, Piggy Bank. I'm going to put Piggy Bank in my waterline, and I'm gonna put on a lipstick, do some liner and mascara, and I'll be right back and show you the completed look and tell you my final thoughts on this little palette. So here's the look all done. I really like how this turned out. I decided to go with a bit of a purple lip today. This is one of the Huda Beauty, I cannot speak today, lip strokes in the shade Fearless, so I feel like that's a very appropriate name for this. And speaking of Fearless, can I just like plug my merch real quick, because I always forget. So I do have these brush holders that I did in collaboration with Pop Stash. I will link them down below. They're still available. These are $12 each, and you can buy them in a set, and they basically come with 3. So one of them says Be Fearless, then you have one that says Eyes, and the other one that say Face, and here is that one. So these are really cute. Like I said, I will link them down below if you want to go check them out. I need to be better at plugging them, because honestly they're so pretty and I think that you guys would really like them. So let me know what you think of the palette. Are you going to pick it up? Is this like up your alley at all? Are you okay with this price, at least for a Natasha Denona palette? I think this is a pretty fair price for a small 5-pan palette. I think the quality of this is really nice. I think the standout shade in this is for sure the gold shade. I mean, this alone is worth so much money. I mean, this is just absolutely beautiful. I can't get over how pretty that is. That is so stunning. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you want to see some other first impression videos that I've done, I'll pop some up on the screen so you can keep on watching. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.